So this is Baruch Fleischman here. I am at the Tikkun Elevator Kolo, and this is going to be the Tiv HaGavonos, but we're going to go over here to the Tiv HaRashash. So we started doing Rashash a little bit. Some of the things that we're going to see here are going to be universal about the Rashash, especially in the concept, if you haven't heard it before, it's the concept of the Matbea HaBracha. So we're going to start in here, and we're going to find out what is the Matbea HaBracha, what is it? So Matbea is like, I think it's like the concept of a coin. It's like the minted bracha. Whatever you can actually achieve in prayer by making a bracha, it really spells it out exactly how the flow works to be able to produce a real bracha. So we're going to get some background over here. I'm going to start over here in this book. And of course, I recommend all of these books from the Tiv HaGavonos because the more they're bought, the more he'll make. God should bless him. I don't really know exactly how his health is, and I just can't be a youngster. So let's see. Lashon Harav Zal B'Sefer Kavanas Yashan B'Kitzer. So the Kavanah is an old one that he has, and this is a brief version of it. Now he says that he's starting this, and he says like this. At first, I guess you say like Shavisi Hashem the Nagdi Summit. Let Hashem dwell in my presence or before me. Always keep that in mind that we should be a Yer Shemayim. So he said, this is the Hagdamas Kavanas in Megilah, the Siddur Rashash, Lashon Harav Zal Mesefer Kavanas Yashon, Kavanas Yashon, Bekitzer. So it's an old sefer. Let's see what it says. He said, Aki Tevis Megilah, the word Megilah, Bekitzer, Chaser Yud. So the way that it's written like this is like the word, instead of Megilah, it's looking like Megilah. It's like the word revealed. And that has a great deal to do with Purim. So it's missing the letter Yud. So if you take it without the letter Yud, it's Vahu Kaminyan Gimel Havayas Shehem Bereisha Kivarti the Lo Isyada. Now that has to be explained. He says it's like the count of the three Havayas that are in the hair, the white head, the one unknowable head. So in the different places in the Rav, he's described the very most highest possible level that one could reach, let's say in a meditation or in prayer or where the direction of our prayer would be. It's completely white. White means an area without blemish. So the name Havaya, the origin of the name Havaya is from there. It spreads out from there and changes and is manifest more physically in Zeir Anpin. But his Gimel Havayas, there were three Havayas, which is the Gematria 78, which is the Gematria of Lechem or Gematria of Melech. I don't know if there's others that we can mention. I mean, I've been through this before, but I forget. Gimel Havayas Shehem Bereisha Kivara, which is in the white head, the Lo Isyada, which is unknowable. Me'ilu HaGimel Havayas, from these three Havayas, Mispashtim Yud Gimel Tikuni Dikna. So from this whiteness on the top of the head, this is the head of Eric Anpin. Now spread down to the 13 Tikkunim of the beard of Eric Anpin. This is a big thing, but we're just going to keep going. So now you have the beard of Eric Anpin, which is a path, a flow. And what does the beard of Eric Anpin do? Because the beard, we understand, is there are 13 different sections of the beard as described in the Zohar. And these different sections actually are all minimalizing the light. It's like the hair of the beard of Eric Anpin is hollow, and the light of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu pours through it. But as you progress down from the first one to the 13th one, they get more minimized because the chambers or the channels becomes more narrow, and that's part of the process of making physicality. So this is really a great secret that he's coming to tell us. We haven't got to the Rashash yet. And ultimately they wind up in the Yesod of Abba, which is Chochmah. So it goes from the very beginning, which is Keser, which is the top of the head of Eric Anpin, and from there it flows through the beard of Eric Anpin and becomes minimized and is deposited in the Yesod of Abba, Chochmah. From Abba then has a yichud with the Yesod of Ima. And he becomes incorporated inside of her Yesod. This is where you see a lot of times in Kabbalah, where they say that Abba is inside of Ima. And if you think of reproduction, human reproduction, then you understand that it takes place with the male inside of the female. Then after that, after they're inside, Abba inside of Ima, now they enter into Zer Anpin, V'noide ki Yisod the Abba. So now he wants to tell you a fact. The Yisod of Abba mislavish be Yisod the Ima. That's what I said previously. But you have to know they're not the same. Kagam Noida, he Yisod the Ima who kotzer. The Yisod of Ima is very short. Yisod the Abba who aruch v'oidif. So that he's much longer, and it overpasses her. V'yotzach b'tocha gufa deza, and it goes out into the body of Zeranpin. V'hinei Mordechai hu Yisod the Abba. Mordechai is the secret of the Yisod of Abba, which is extensive. V'Esther he a Malchus the Yisod the Ima. So Esther, which represents Malchus, is the Yisod of Ima. So here you have Mordechai is a Yisod, and then Esther is also Malchus. It's the Malchus of the Yisod of Ima. In other words, it's the ultimate destination called Zion in other places. V'lechein Mordechai HaYehudi Ole Gematria Shakai. So there, Mordechai Yehudi, that phrase, it comes to the Gematria of 314, which is Shakai. Shakai represents the male organ. V'hiyoshem Mordechai ve'Esther Chaim bebechinas Eloch HaYud Gimel Tikuni Dikna Nirmaze Bechem. So he says that the 13 Tikunim of the Dikna, which is continuous hismatus, or limitation of the light of nothingness, Eloch HaYud Gimel Tikuni Dikna Nirmaze Bechem, they're all referenced in them. There's a hint to them in this. Because the 13 actually represent 13 different Yud Kei Vav Kei. But they're all spelled with the Milui of Yudin, which is Yud Vav Dalet Kei Yud Vav Kei Yud. Vehem Olem Gematria of Mordechai, and they come to the Gematria of Mordechai and Esther Imakoilel if you add their root. Now these are all different things that could be worked on and be gone over, but let's read a little bit more. But the Yoshem Mordechai who mitzad chasadim. So Mordechai is a male aspect. So the male aspect is the concept of chasadim. Esther mitzad gavuros. Esther is a female aspect. So it comes from the side of gavuros. L'kachem koladem yachad asara havayos. So since he is 5, he represents 5 havayos, which and she represents 5 havayos. The hainu ha'hei chasadim kula b'nikud komets. Now he has to say like this. It's a little more complicated. Now the nikud of a komets is a gematria of 16. The top part, which is the bar of the komets, is considered to be above, which is a 6. And the line below it is considered to be a dot, which is a 10. So that's 16. So he says, let's look at it. The nikud komets. Vehem esrim kometsim. So they have 20 different kometses. So, like I said, komets is a gematria of 14. V'heim olen gematria shach. So 20 times 14 is the 320. V'chamesh havayos. Then you take the havayos atzman olim kal. So havayos by themselves is 26. 26 times 5 gets to 130. Hare hakol gematria 10. So the whole thing, if you put together 320 and 130, you get to the number 450. V'chamesh gevuros kula b'nikud elokim. So with the v'chamesh kula, they have a special nikud where they put the Yud Kei Vav Kei in the concept of elokim. Olim shen, they come to 350. V'chamesh havayos atman olim kal. So he says harei kol gematria taf pei. So what do we get out of that? Comes out to be 480. V'hinei taf. So he says that taf nun and taf fei. So what we have here is this concept is the gevuros with the chasadim, and it's the concept of the chasadim which sweeten the gevuros. Olim gematria Mordechai for Esther. You put all of that together, add them all up, take your time, add them up. They're going to come to be the gematria of Mordechai and Esther. So he said, Hine, Megilah hu chaser yud. It comes without a yud. V'hu remez al yisod the Abba, so the Yud represents the yisod of Abba, this pashid ad yisod the Zah, which goes all the way through the Chaz of Zah, which is where the yisod of Ima is located. It goes through Ima and goes all the way down to the yisod of Zer Anpin. V'lechein poshetes ge'igeres the parsume nisa, so therefore it extends itself out. Posha, v'lechein poshta ka'igeres, it spreads itself out like, I guess, a news item. The parsume nisa, in order to explain or to publicize the miracle that's going to happen. Shehem netzah v'hod the yisod the Abba, shehem hashnei luchos, which are this is something I learning here, which are the Netzach and Hod, the Yisod, the Abba. Now, let me just translate that. He says, Shehem Netzach v'Hod, the Yisod. So Yisod has 10 spheros. So these are the bottom two or close to the bottom two of the Yisod, of Abba. Shehem Hashnei Luchos, which represents the two Luchos. A mispashtim ad Yisod de Zer Anpin, and they spread all the way into the Yisod de Zer Anpin, v'chiyos shachachasadim v'chaguburos, hem kolula v'Yisod de Abba. So now that you have all of the chasadim and all the geburos of Abba, winding up in the Yisod of Abba, which is in the Yisod of Zer Anpin, v'chein tzarech b'kafol ha-Megilah b'amud echad, so therefore you have to fold up the Megilah in one column, the Remosha Chasadim mismatkim hagavuros, to show you that everything comes back to one and that the Chasadim are sweetening up the Gavuros. Now, it's a little bit complicated, and so we'll just keep going with it. This is Baruch Fleischman.